You may remember her face from hit TV shows like The Shield and ER, or recognize her voice from Avatar. But before CCH Pounder made her mark on Hollywood, she lived on a sugar plantation right here in the Caribbean, more specifically in Guyana. 18 Degrees North reporter Anita Bennett recently sat down with a 4-time Emmy-nominated actress to talk about her journey. Let's head now to 34 degrees north and 118 degrees west to the historic Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles.
Please switch seats, please.
Excuse me?
This is my seat. That's yours.
It was this high-profile role in the FX hit The Shield that would cement her place in American television. CCH Pounder may not have the name recognition she deserves, but there's no denying that face and the tough-talking, strong-minded characters she's mastered.
I'm Captain Wims. All the detectives here are under my command, including Detective Wagenbach.
Born Carol Christine Eladia Pounder on Christmas Day in 1952, the actress grew up on a sugar plantation in the days when Guyana was still controlled by Britain.
You were born in Guyana. What are some of your memories of the country?
I lived in Reedon Hoop across the river, and the little estate was Versailles Estate, 13 houses, and all the kids went to school by taxi, car, boat, school bus. So, no excuses.
School was important to Pounder's parents, who expected her to become a lawyer or doctor. But they became nervous about her future as Guyana, captured in this film, grew closer to independence.
It was just the broiling time. There just came a point when independence was coming by hell or high water, and my mother said, "You better leave."
Amid the threat of communism and racial tensions between the largest ethnic groups in Guyana, Indian and Black, Pounder's parents sent her and her sister to a religious boarding school in Britain. She was a good student and apparently also a good actress.
When did you first realize you wanted to be an actress?
I grew up in a convent, and the nuns thought it would be a great idea if I learned poems to increase my memory power. And when I would recite it back to them, see if they had learned it properly, they enjoyed it. So then there was one nun, and then the next week there were 2 or 3 nuns, and then 4 or 5 nuns. And then basically I was their entertainment.
Pounder began performing in local English theater, and within a few years, she told her parents she wanted to perform full-time.
My father was quiet, my mother was horrified, and I think for some reason, acting has got a reputation where you don't necessarily need to be very bright. So this was a huge waste of bright brains to go into the acting profession.
By this time, Pounder joined her parents who'd moved to New York. She studied acting upstate at Ithaca College, and not long after set her sights on Hollywood. But landing meaty roles was no easy task.
When I started in the very beginning, I played lots of victims. I sold my children for crack. I was on the streets. I was held hostage by my husband. I was constantly doing a role with tears rolling down my face.
Then came a talk with her agent.
I told them that I wanted a role of which a woman had a sense of herself and that she was in charge. And when I finally got that, I noticed the difference just in people approaching would be, "Excuse me, Ms. Pounder, could I say hello? I saw your role, it was really wonderful." And I thought, that's really interesting. And the more I did it, the more I confirmed that whether you want to be an activist or not, for this skin color in this country, activism is kind of a necessary part of your film and television life.
Dr. Benton, I see you have a thymectomy scheduled. Would you mind if I gave it to Dr. Levin?
Pounder kept getting cast in no-nonsense roles, appearing as a doctor on ER and Detective Claudette Wims on the gritty crime drama The Shield, both of which earned her Emmy nominations.
Now let's talk about The Shield. What was your experience on that show?
The Shield gave me the opportunity to weave a real human person in, and with flaws and weaknesses that you don't get to see in a film.
This year, Pounder will star in NCIS New Orleans, and she'll begin voiceover work for the character Moat in the Avatar sequel.
Why did you come to us?
Came to learn.
When she's not acting, Pounder spends her time with her Senegalese husband, Boubacar Kone, who she married after just 17 days of knowing him. Now, 25 years later, they're still going.
I'm married to a really unusual person. I don't recommend a 17-day kind of met you, saw you, let's get married, and it doesn't happen very often. But I'm a woman of strong decisions, and it seems to have worked in all areas of my life.
She also gives back to Guyana.
I do support the Guyanese Nurses Association, which has a chapter here. But in terms of going and having talks or anything, I've never been invited, and I think those are the things that you would have to be invited to do.
And if she were invited, it appears Carol Christine Ilaria Pounder would have a lot to say.
Time to go hood, sister.
If there's a little girl in the Caribbean who's watching this right now and she wants to come to Hollywood, what advice would you give her?
Be the biggest fish you can where you are. Get as big as you possibly can. Stand on your own legs. Know who you are. Then come. And I dare them to tell you who you are, because you already know.
The preceding segment was filmed on location at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel of downtown Los Angeles.